Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne. I got a video for that Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. In today's video, I'm going to be explaining how the VA rates service connection for hypertension. Also, I'm going to give you some nuggets of how you can obtain the highest percentage you feel you deserve. Let's get into it. Okay, everyone, how does the VA rate hypertension, and what are some things that you could be doing when you're seeking service connection for hypertension that give you the highest percentage? Let me break it down for you. You know I got some slides, so let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number one. Now, here's slide number one. This is the M21-1 defining hypertension and isolated systolic hypertension, okay? So they state two types of hypertensive vascular disease. Hypertension, there's the definition, and then you have the definition for isolated systolic hypertension. Now, if you need a DBQ for any medical condition, click the description link down below and reach out to Access Medical, okay? They can provide DBQs. Now, there are some DBQs that have to be done in person, and then some can be done by video, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number two. Here in slide number two, it states blood pressure readings required for SC. SC stands for service connection of hypertension. Now, before I get into this, I want people to understand the M21 is just a reference, but it's a reference that all VA employees should be following. And just as a key note, not all VA employees follow regulations, okay? There are some VA employees that are not advocates for veterans. That's one of the reasons, main reasons, you should stay educated on this process, okay? Now, it states, subject to exception below, service connection for hypertensive vascular disease requires current blood pressure readings obtained during the claim period, which meet the regulatory definition of either hypertension or isolated systolic hypertension. I just talked about the definition on the previous slide. And again, look at what they have highlighted down below in blue, okay? 38 CFRs, okay? So this is another reason why I like using M21 manual reference, because you can use it like Google to get to 38 CFRs. CFR stands for Code of Federal Regulations, and certain court cases. This all helps you with your claim. So when I say the VA regulations and references on your side, they are, you just got to invest the time to find the ones that pertain to what you're doing with your claim. Let's keep going. Slide number three. Now, here in slide number three, confirmation with multiple blood pressure readings. This is where I'm going to drop some nuggets, okay? So just bear with me. Subject to exceptions below, a diagnosis of hypertension or isolated systolic hypertension must be confirmed by blood pressure readings taken 2 or more times on at least 3 different days. Okay. I know you're saying, Dwayne, where's the nuggets? I'm about to give it to you. All right. It's about to rain nuggets. I'm gonna make it rain. All right. So if you get diagnosed with hypertension, okay, or isolated systolic hypertension, contact your primary care physician. Ask them for the progress notes that show on the date that they actually diagnosed you and the readings that they used to diagnose you with one of those two conditions. All right. Now, also ask them, hey, doc, how do I control my hypertension? Or how do I know when it's high or low? You can also ask them, and I don't know if the VA does this. I'm pretty sure they do, but I'm not for sure. And this is on the VHA side, the healthcare side. Ask them, can they give you a device that you can take home so you can measure your blood pressure daily? Okay, they have these little devices They put them on your wrist, and then they tell you, hold your wrist up to, or the device that's wrapped around your wrist up to your chest. And then it beeps, and then it tells the nurse, here's the readings, okay? I don't know if the VA Medical Center gives those out, but ask them for it. If you use a private doctor, ask them to give you a prescription, or even go to Walgreens or CVS. They may have them, you can purchase them. Get your sheet of paper or Excel spreadsheet, start documenting. Maybe take your blood pressure in the morning, noon, and then in the afternoon to see where those readings are at, okay? Because if they're all high, according to the diagnostic code criteria, I'm going to show you that criteria here in a minute, then you can submit that along with your evidence. That's the nugget. I used to see veterans do that all the time. For those that didn't, I would have to go through the VA progress notes, just searching and searching, and I could miss something, okay? Put that information in front of the veteran, so if you meet the 40 or 60%, 60 being the highest, boom, it makes it easier for the rater to grant that, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 4. Okay, prehypertension. Okay, prehypertension. I've seen it. In the VA's definition, prehypertension is generally defined as systolic pressure between 120 and 139 and systolic pressure from 80 to 89. Prehypertension is not, say it again, is not a disability for VA purposes, like cholesterol. Veterans claim high cholesterol. That is not a disability for VA purposes, along with prehypertension. It goes on to state, if the VA examination or evidence used in lieu of a VA examination, normally veterans will submit that, contains only a diagnosis of prehypertension based on readings that do not meet the definition of hypertension or isolated systolic hypertension, do not seek clarification or grant service connection for hypertension based on the diagnosis. Simple as that. Hypertension, you are no-go. Now, another nugget. This is what I used to do whenever a veteran claimed prehypertension. I would still go through any evidence to see if that veteran actually eventually obtained a diagnosis of hypertension. Because a lot of veterans, they don't know the system. They just see prehypertension and go with it, not thinking, oh, let me do the hypertension instead. And in that case, I would still grant a CMP exam for that particular veteran, okay? So something just to keep in mind, all right? Go through your own records. If you're not able to do it, have somebody else to do it. And find that diagnosis if you have it, okay? Let's keep going. Slide number 5. Here in slide number 5, here is the diagnostic code criteria. Now, I'm going to give y'all a nugget in this one, all right? But before I do it, I want you to look at all the diagnostic codes. Pretty much straightforward, right? But look at number 10. A little bit confusing. They give you 3 different ways to get 10%, which is the compensable, meaning 10%. Systolic pressure predominantly 100 or more, or systolic pressure predominantly 160 or more, or, not and, or minimum evaluation of an individual with a history of systolic pressure predominantly 100 or more who requires continuous medication for control. So that's 2 rolled into 1 for that last one, okay? So this is how you read diagnostic code criteria. And it gets confusing because they'll use or maybe and. Okay, but in this condition, in all these scenarios, the 4 different ways, the 10%, 20, 40, and 60, they're all or, okay, or more, especially with the 20 and 10, if that makes sense, okay? In the note section, it states hypertension or isolated systolic hypertension must be confirmed by readings taken 2 or more times on at least 3 different ways. Now, I said 1 nugget, I'm gonna give you 2. Do your intent to file. Then start building your case, getting the evidence these readings. Get that little thing you put on your wrist, start documentation, or if you already have that evidence at the VA progress notes, go out to My Healthy Vet, get that information. Now, Let's just say you're already service-connected for hypertension, or, already service-connected, you're coming in for an increase. Here's the nugget. I am claiming an increase in my service-connected hypertension. Since my last compensation and pension exam, my condition has deteriorated. Now, my symptoms include diastolic pressure, predominantly 130 or more. Please see attached high blood pressure readings from this date to this date, where I took my own blood pressure readings, which show the systolic pressure predominantly 130 or more. Also, see progress notes from VA Medical Center, whichever one you go to, dated this date, which show systolic pressure predominantly 130 or more. Okay? It doesn't have to be 100 pages. This all could be 3 or 4 pages. Okay? But you just proven the fact that you meet the higher percentage of the 60%. That's how you maximize it. Okay? Now, what I'm not saying is not to take your high blood pressure medication. I've seen veterans do that, get to the C&P exam, they pass out. Then they tell the examiner, I haven't took my blood pressure medication for the last 2 weeks because they're trying to get a higher percentage. Okay, don't do that. You could die. Don't do that. All right? Then you give yourself a false reading. But if you're on the medication or you're following a regimen that your doctor is saying do or not do, if it's still high, then get that evidence showing that. And I've already gave you ways that you can do that. All right? Slide number 6. This is from the Hypertension DBQ. Okay? 2C, was the veteran initial diagnosis of hypertension or isolated systolic hypertension confirmed by blood pressure readings taken 2 or more times at least 3 different days, okay? So the doctor may say, hey, we need to set up 3 appointments back to back on the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th, and we need to take your blood pressure readings. Yep, they're all high according to blood work or whatever. You now have a diagnosis of hypertension. You get that evidence, there you go. It checks this box. Also, you have that other evidence of those other readings that I just told you on the previous slide about, okay? A lot of veterans overthink the process, and this is one of the reasons why it's confusing, okay? So, go back, watch the video again, take some notes. When I point out those nuggets, do that, okay? That little device you put on your wrist, get it. Either pay for it out of pocket. If you can't, you're getting treatment at the VA hospital, ask your primary care, can I get one of those? I've been diagnosed with hypertension. Start documenting. That blood pressure ticks up above your 10%, 20% or whatever. Now you have the evidence that you can use to get the increase. If you're not service connected, you can still use that evidence, because when they do service connect you, if you meet the criteria, now you can maximize and get the highest percentage you deserve for hypertension. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and as always, share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.